What the community is doing to spearhead improvements. That is a tragic story that, of course, we've been covering all week because a 15-year-old boy was struck and killed by a train while he was walking to school. The League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC, will host a town hall this weekend to push for change. So joining me to talk about the town hall, we are going to have State Representative Christina Morales of District 145 here on the show to talk more about it. All right, we have Representative Morales now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thanks for joining me. So please share your thoughts on what you'd like to see happen when it comes to railroad crossings near schools in your district.
Well, we definitely need pedestrian bridges over the train for our students, but we also need leniency from the schools. Kids need more time to get to school when they have to pass through these trains, which have notoriously been a problem here in the East End in the district that I represent.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry about that horrible tragedy that's happened that is having us all talk about this. And since then, we've basically learned that in order to put a pedestrian crossing there, you've got to get the permission from Union Pacific. They've got to be on board with installing it. Have you been able to come up with any kind of recommendation or proposal that could allow for the installation? Like, basically, is there anything that you could be doing to help assist with that?
Yes, definitely at the state level, we can be working with Union Pacific. I've been in conversations with them. They've been very accessible and willing to talk about what we can do to make sure that our students are safer. But, you know, this is something that many elected officials have been clamoring about for years, for decades even. We've seen pictures of students crawling under trains. You know, I have a childhood friend who was, you know, his foot basically was cut off by a train when he tried to cross it to get to school.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, this has been an ongoing issue for many, many years. And sadly, it's taken the death of this young man to create the change that we need to see in our community. I'm really happy that the mayor has stepped up, and he's going to have a conversation with Union Pacific. We also heard yesterday from Dan Patrick, our lieutenant governor, who also wants to make sure that this happens. I know State Senator Carol Alvarado has been an advocate as well, and is making sure that this happens. So you know, we're excited that we're going to have a town hall, and folks are going to be able to come this weekend and share their thoughts and concerns.
Which is happening tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., right?
That is correct.
Representative Morales, we hadn't really heard a lot about this issue before, so it is surprising when you say that it's been an issue that's been, you know, decades coming, because even the mayor said this wasn't something he knew about. Had there ever been talk of a pedestrian bridge before this tragedy?
You know, specifically a pedestrian bridge isn't something that I would say that I heard, and I'm a little bit of a newer legislator, but one thing that we have asked Union Pacific about, and there have been many discussions about changing the train schedule so that they're not crossing right at that time, because children don't only walk to school, they drive to school, and a lot of times emergency vehicles can't pass, and people can't get to work on time because the trains are blocking these important passages that you know, people aren't able to get through. So there's been a lot of discussion around the times that the trains are crossing, and usually it seems like it's right at the time that you need to get to work or school, and there's a lot of roads that are blocked by the trains for several hours.
So has Union Pacific
this
ever
has been an ongoing problem in the East End, and sadly it's taken the death of this young man to
have they ever been receptive to that, maybe talking about changing the train schedule?
Not as receptive as we would like.
Okay.
One of the conversations I had with Union Pacific yesterday was about the schedules and how can we adjust those schedules so they're not right at the time that people are getting to work and school and leaving work and school. And in the short conversation that I had, it doesn't seem like something that they can do because of all of the vendors that they have, and the trains are constantly moving and providing products to different vendors in the area. So it doesn't seem like a realistic solution right now. So I think we need all branches of government to come in. I'm talking from the federal level, the state level, and the city, because there are grants that are available, and as a city and a state, we need to apply for those grants and make sure that if there's an opportunity to have an underpass or an overpass, not only for pedestrians but for cars as well, this will make the quality of life a little better here in the East End.
Yeah, and it seems like something needs to be, immediately in the works, because by the time you determine who's going to pay for these changes and where the budget's coming from, and then you actually budget for it, I mean, we're talking about a solution that could potentially be years away still. So we've got to come up with other solutions in the time in this time. Have you heard from HISD? Is there anything that you think that the district could be doing better? I mean, I know they've put officers out there, but the officers are at an intersection, not right at the train tracks.
Yes, I've been in conversations with HISD as well, and I'm glad that they'll be coming to our event, or to the LULAC event tomorrow. I know that Superintendent Miles said that there was going to be leniency for these students who do have to cross through these train tracks, and I suggested that they have staff available to observe when things like this are happening, and then they want to work with Union Pacific to make sure that they're that the community is aware of rail safety. We need to make sure that that information is available in Spanish as well. The district I represent has a lot of Spanish-speaking families.
Right.
But ultimately, we'd like to see better funding for our schools too, because when you do have school staff that's working there at the train,
coming in earlier on their days,
which is many schools in the city of Houston, then it takes away from class time or staff that could be available for instruction. So
so the district,
a lot of things that need to be addressed.
Yeah, the school district needs to feel supported by you. Anything else that you mentioned that there were several other schools too. How many schools exactly have you identified are at risk of kids getting hurt by a train?
I know there's double digits, so I know there's probably about 15 schools in the Houston area that are being affected by trains, and it's not just in the East End, it's across the city. And some of them, the problems are just worse than others, and they seem to be here in the East End. But, another thing that we're doing, or the conversations I had with HISD, is making sure that the students have access to counselors during these days, and I attended the memorial service they had for Sergio Rodriguez. It was just a heartbreaking situation for the family, and it was just beautiful to see all the students come together to support the family, because their lives are never going to be the same, and this is going to affect the family, the students, the faculty and staff of the school, and just the entire community is just really, really heartbroken. It's sad that it's come to this, to see the changes that we need to see in our community.
Yeah, well, my heart breaks too for the kids who have to continue walking to school that way. That's just repeat trauma, to have to walk over those train tracks where one of their fellow students was killed. So. Yes.
I actually walked through the tracks yesterday, and it just wasn't safe, and there was a broken walking light there, and so
It's dangerous.
Until you walk it yourself, you see how dangerous it can be.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that, there are discussions and it looks like we're going to get some things done, but it's just incredibly too late.
You're right about that. But Representative Christina Morales, I do appreciate your insight this morning. I appreciate you joining me. And I hope that you get a lot of people out of the town hall tomorrow to further these discussions. All right, for the full list of schools that the district says need help, go to our website, click2houston.com. You can find them in this article. And once again, that town hall is happening Saturday, which is tomorrow at 10 a.m.